So I'm really happy with all of the areas of the studio. They're just looking fantastic, but this is the last area that I want to sort of upgrade, or not even upgrade, like do something with. There was tanks on here, but I moved them to the middle section, and I've got a really cool plan for something to do in this whole area here. So obviously everywhere else in the studio is taking up the space, so I've got to be a little bit clever here with sort of where I put stuff, but I've cleared the seating area, pushed it right back. So that's left us the floor space to be able to sort of put a few things in the meantime. I need to bring the wood down. I need to take apart this whole thing. And I'm just going to wing it, really. I don't know how this is going to work, but it will work. You just got to have a bit of faith. Right, that all came apart very easily, actually. I think I built that a lot better than I thought it did. Normally I have to break off a load of stuff because I've like taken the heads off of screws or just stuck in a million of them at a weak point. But yeah, it was all good. There's that. And then there's all this wood as well. I'll take that all to the recycling centre, of course. And then I've got a desk here with loads of product on. Again, this can be shifted out of the way for now. And I've also got all... Oh, I just tripped up. Excuse me. Yeah, I've also got all these concrete blocks, which I'll take back to the supplier, the merchant I got them from, and just let them have them because I don't need them, to be honest. And then in the back of my very dirty car, we have got a load of wood, which I probably didn't need, some substrates and things like that. And then I've got all the cabinets as well for the free aquariums at the back. Oh yeah, it's going to be free aquarium. Have I said that already? Well, it's in the thumbnail anyway. So now it's time for everyone's favourite game, known as building flat pack furniture. I absolutely hate this, but to be fair, I have done these before and they do go together really well. You know, you sometimes get stuff and you're like, what? Or you like screw in one of the bolt bits and it just sort of shears it all, and then that's the whole thing ruined. But these are really good. They're actually quite simple and easy. Just gonna get them all done. Right, first one done. That was easy. 2 more to go. Oh, but it's lunchtime first, I'm starving. And today's meal is grass-fed beef. We've got some rice and a tomato salad, a little bit of balsamic dressing, salt and pepper. Oh, so nice. Olive oil as well. Oh, now I am full. Time to get on with the second 2. We can get some tanks on top then as well. Oh yes, those second ones just flew up. Now all these cabinets are from Superfish. This isn't sponsored or anything. I actually bought all of these because I know how good they are and I knew it would work so well. But yeah, they're good quality, they look nice. Soft closed doors, and this is actually like a textured wood as well. I can't really show that on video, but trust me, it is. And yeah, looking great. Right, we can get the tanks on top now as well. Okay, now it's coming together. That looks awesome. It's quite hard to get it all in one frame. I need a wider lens, don't I? There we go. Tons of aquariums. Oh, this is exciting. So we've got 3 of the Scaper 140 aquariums. These are from Superfish as well. So the kit all comes together like that, and then you can buy the cabinets separately, which all fit perfectly. Comes with a foam mat, it's got the light, it's got a filter, it's got a background, it's got some fertilizers, and every single one has got it. So it's the most cost-effective thing I could do here rather than buying like everything individually. And now I'm starting to think, because they're quite low, like it's the perfect height for a living room, obviously if you're sat at your sofa, but we're in a studio. I'm thinking maybe I'll use the blocks to place underneath, and then I can sit them on that and just raise it up a little bit. I'm gonna do it. It's work, it's more work, but I think it will be better because if you look from the side like this, there's so much mess back there to clean up. But look, they're quite low down compared to how high I built these ones. And these are a really good height because I literally just tiny bit of a squat and like I'm at the right height. So I think I want to raise them. Yeah, I'm going to do it. It's a studio at the end of the day. It's not a living space. So I have got no problem with seeing a couple of blocks underneath. And it actually means there's a little bit of storage underneath as well, so that's good. So you might be wondering, why 3 separate aquariums? Why not one big aquarium? Well, for those of you that don't know, I've already got one big aquarium. So this is my 8-foot tank here, and believe it or not, the cost of this is 10 times as much as 3 of those aquariums with all the kit included. But it's not just the cost, there's a couple of other reasons as well. I wanted to do it as a challenge. I've never done it before, you know, merging 3 tanks into one sort of scape. And then the other reason is you can put separate species in each tank that wouldn't normally go together, and it can kind of give the illusion that they are together. Obviously there's a divide between the tanks, of course, and I have to have a certain gap to be able to get down to clean those panes. Also, it'd be very dangerous to butt them right up together, because any sort of movement from the water pressure, you'd get an exploding tank for sure. So yeah, that's the main reasons I want to do it. Cost, species variety, and the challenge. There we go, I really like that. Like I say, that's not a great look, you know, if it's a living area, but it's not. But I really like the height. The height is perfect. Perfect height for working on the tanks as well, but also a real nice eye level. Plus, I want a lot of stuff coming out the top, wood, plants, the lot, which means there's gonna be like a whole sort of jungle area above it as well, so that'll be awesome. But now it's time to get all the kit out, the lighting, the filters on, yeah, get all that sorted. So backgrounds are on, lighting is on, and before I do anything else, I need to go to the recycling centre because I have made an absolute mess. There's like no floor space and I'm tripping over myself constantly, so I need all of this sorted out. Normally I do these sort of things at the end, but there's just way too much here. So for filtration, we're going to be using the Superfish EcoFlow. This is the one that comes with the kit, 800 litres per hour. It's good for 240 litres, but we've not got that much water volume. It's more than capable of doing the job. To be honest, I could run these tanks with no filter with the amount of plants I put in my tanks, but it's good to have a little bit of flow, a little bit of that mechanical filtration, as well as the beneficial bacteria that will colonize it as well. I mean, it comes with the kit, it's more than capable of doing what we need, so let's use it. So that's one side done, that was easy to get to. Now the middle side, without pulling everything out, I can't actually get behind it. So I've come up with like a fishing line, this like wire, and that goes down the back. And then I've just tied it to this piece so that I can pull it up through. I did the same for like the plug and everything else as well. But it's fine, once it's all in, I don't need to go back there, so all good. So one thing I've done with the inlet and outlet is normally you'd put the longer side into the tank, the shorter side comes out the top and goes level with the outlet, which is sort of ends there. But I'm going to be building up the substrate quite high, so I've swapped it round to the other way. Problem is the brackets like have the windy bit in the middle here and in the inside of the tank. This one's on the outside, which looks a lot better. But it looks like I can take this off and flip it around. Hopefully it's not glued. Yeah, it looks like it comes off, but yes, it does. Brilliant. And then I can just switch it round. Now the short bit's on the inside and that's on the outside. Perfect. Ideal. We have lighting on everything. If you're wondering how everything's powered, well, there is a extension lead that comes into each cabinet. It's got 4 slots on it. We've got a timer for the light. The filter will plug into that as well. It's all off the bottom, so you know water won't get into it, so nice and safe. And that's on each and every one. And each extension lead is plugged into a mains sort of socket. I mean, the amount of power going through these things means there's no danger of overloading any sort of electrical system. It's barely anything. And now the light's on, we can see how horrendously dirty I've got all the glass, so that definitely needs cleaning up quickly before we start. Ooh, we're all clean. Well, as clean as we need to be. It's going to get a little bit dirty again. First job is to build up that back layer. Remember I was saying I want a high substrate layer at the back that goes up to sort of where the inlet is, and to do that, I just use random stuff. So down here, I've got a collection of a load of different substrates and things like that I've just taken out of old scapes. There's a mix of sand, gravel, soil, aqua soil. Like this one's got a bit of sand on the top, underneath it's got aqua soil. This is like just a coarse gravel, really good as well. So I'm just gonna mix it all together. So I've got a one big tub, and then I can use that. Okay, a good amount in there. Now it's time to shape it. There'll be stuff on top of this as well, so that can't be the final height. So just to sort of blend it forward so that it goes up at an angle, and that just gives a better sort of depth perception. It will make the tank look way deeper than it actually is. And I've just remembered something. As you come into the studio, this is going to be like one of the first things you see, well maybe not because the door will be open, but still, from this angle, I don't want to see all of this grubby stuff at the side. So I'm going to taper it back that way as well. And that way it'll just give a much cleaner look from this side. This is the viewing side. It needs to be looking a lot better than that. It doesn't hurt at all, but you know, it's just the details, isn't it? Oh, look at that, all the way down. And if you're wondering if this old sort of stored substrate smells, it's got a slight pong to it, but I wouldn't say it's like, oh, you know, like it's not like huge amounts of methane that you can sometimes get at the bottom of a tank and that. Nah, a little bit of a pong, but nothing too serious. The way I see it, if it's got a bit of a pong, it means there's organic material in it, which is only going to be good for the plants, you know, as they grow into that sort of substrate system. Obviously, we're going to put nutrients on top of this as well now in the form of pond soil. This is important. This is why I'm able to run at so many tanks, have all the plants growing amazing, and so that the sort of tanks just look after themselves, because otherwise I couldn't do all of this. So yeah, next up is pond aquatic soil. It's basically like pond compost. It's had a load of organics floated off so that there's, you know, a small amount left, but there is some organics in it, which is good. We want that. You can use regular compost as well, just use less of it. But I'll leave an Amazon link below for you guys if you want to get hold of some of the stuff. I know some of you say it's hard to get, but I think if you go to any sort of pond place, they should have it. Right, so I'm going to take a full scoop. Now, why is this stuff important? Well, basically, as this stuff breaks down underneath a substrate, it generates its own CO2. Now, okay, it's not going to be as much as like a proper full-on CO2 system, but it's still going to add to your water column, and any CO2 is good CO2. All water has background levels, but this is going to boost it as well. CO2 will bring down the pH. Like anywhere near 7 and below is when plants do really well. Below 7, they do really, really well. So mine comes out the tap at pH of 7. So as I add this and some bogwood and things like that, it brings the pH down. Plants just do so much better, especially stems. They seem to do way better at lower pH. Doesn't mean they can't do well at higher pHs. I've seen plenty of people say they've got a pH of 8 and still have good plant growth. They just select the plants that grow well for them. But I've found that doing things like this just really does enable all plants to grow. Obviously, your experience may vary, but I can guarantee you it's going to make it better than if you don't. So there we go, just a sort of fine dusting on the top. Like it's barely any really, it's just a covering, so it just covers the surface. Can't really see at the side there, but it's less than a centimetre, to be honest. And the reason I use the pond compost rather than just normal stuff is I found that it's just way more forgiving. It doesn't seem to tint the water as much either. And also, if any of it comes up out of the capping layer that we're going to put on next, it doesn't really matter too much. You'll get a little bit of mulm, you know, it might look a bit unsightly to be honest, but it's not gonna just cause a massive algae bloom. So yeah, I've just found that this is just the perfect sort of balance. Like compost for me is just way too harsh, way too many nutrients, but I've also found that it to be better and longer lasting than say an aqua soil, but that's just me personally. Okay, next up, not an essential part, but one I would thoroughly recommend if you can get hold of it. I'm going to add a load of NutriBase to the surface. I'm probably just going to use one bag and distribute it between 3 aquariums. Now what it's got inside it is dormant bacteria and like basically everything else, micronutrients that the plants need. Now as I say, it's not essential, but I found that it just like turbocharges the aquarium and makes it get sort of settled in way faster. Within a couple of weeks, these aquariums are going to be like doing awesome. And I can massively tell the difference when I have and haven't used it. Again, this isn't sponsored or anything, it's just showing you guys the products I use, why I use them. And like I say, if you need them, you don't have to use this, but I think it's well worth the money. It's not that expensive. And in my opinion, it just sort of guarantees success. Looking good. And of course, I will place root tabs as well. Everywhere I've got strong amounts of plants, you know, after the hardscape's in, I can't really see where that's going to be now, so I'll wait until that point. But yeah, this has really come along quickly, actually. Well, I say quickly, the whole process so far has taken a couple of days, but then I've been like sort of taking my time with it. I haven't rushed it. I probably could have done all of this in a day, but yeah, it's not as fun when you're rushing. So I've just a bit of YouTube, bit of food. But do not skip this process that I've just showed you. Some people might be tempted to say, oh, I've only got enough for some sand, so I'll just chuck in some sand. Remember, plants predominantly feed from their roots. Even stem plants, yes, they will pull it from the water column. And obviously there's like epiphytes that stick to decoration, Java ferns and mosses. They will solely feed from the water column, but the majority will feed from their roots. And if you can set this up, which to be fair, doesn't cost a huge amount, you can go and get gravel, any sand from a builder's merchant. The aquatic pond soil doesn't really cost a lot at all. The NutriBase is an added expense, but like I say, it's one I thoroughly recommend. But now we've got to cap all of this. Like, this is the nutrients. These can't be floating around. Fill the water up now, it's just going to go murky. So we're going to cap the whole lot with a sand. Now, usually I go for like a lighter sand. Yeah, like on my rainbow tank here, look, you see a light sand. In the ender tank as well, light sand. In the 8-foot aquarium as well, I did a light sand foreground. The system in this, by the way, is exactly the same as the one we're currently doing. So yeah, if you need any evidence that it grows plants well, there it is. But yeah, in this tank, I'm going to go with Mano-based black, which isn't actually black. It's like a lighter or darker grey with like flecks or other colours in. I think that'll work really well in these tanks. I've got 2 bags of these, should be plenty. There we go, felt like a lot of work, was a lot of work, but well worth it. And what's good is we can now move on to putting in some hardscape. I want to show you guys something roughly what I'm kind of thinking. So we have got a lot of wood down here. It's massive, a lot of it. So that's good in a way because I want to be able to cut it at certain points to be able to go through the tanks. So for instance, this is just an example, but we can have a big old piece like this, obviously with the label taken off. And we can then sort of carry that look on, not like that, like coming through the other side. Again, what I'll do is I'll saw certain, like this one, I could saw it right there, so it went nice and flush up against the glass, and you can just have it coming through then. And then we can have some bigger points coming from this side as well, like reaching up out of the tank. That is the sort of look I want to go for. I've covered the inlet pipe there if I do that, but I can move that across if need be. Just keep putting in some pieces. Again, this is not what it's going to be, but you know, just for example, so you guys can see what I'm going for. Another piece down this side. But what I really want is this middle section coming right up out. So I'll add even more in the middle because I want plants growing all up the edges and all up on top of it. So it's like one big sort of islandy display. This middle tank will be the big maximum planted and like plants growing out of it. Oh, it looks so cool. And I think by doing that, we'll merge the tanks in with these sort of terrestrial plants that are growing up and out of the water. A little bit like what's happening here in this tank, just I can probably steal some of these because this is getting very crowded. Like big pieces like this are going to help massively for that. And even more, just keep going. Wow, this is a nice piece. This is all going to come tumbling down in a minute. Yep, I called it. Sometimes that can actually help it lodge better. Yeah, so something like that, but not that, because there's no sort of continuation through the... Well, it kind of does go through, doesn't it? It's a similar sort of wood, so it does kind of merge, but I do want some flat edges to be sort of joining. I won't glue anything, so nothing's like permanent, but it should follow on. Like I want that angle to sort of carry on and fill in some of them. Yeah, it's just an idea of roughly what we're going to be going for. There'll be more in the foreground, of course, as well. Just sort of like, I'm thinking roots sort of trailing down into the foreground, like sort of straight on, kind of straight on in the middle, and then coming off at harsh angles right at the side here. I think that'll look so cool. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. I can already tell, actually. I had a vision in my head, and sometimes you do and it doesn't sort of work, but this is definitely working. So yeah, in the next video we'll get hardscaping for real. I should be able to come up with something absolutely awesome. We'll probably get into some planting in that in the next video as well. So yeah, loads of progress this time. There'll be loads of progress next time. I'm splitting this up because I don't want to rush it. Like, let's release this, you guys can get into it as well, and then hopefully you'll follow along and just enjoy the process. See you next episode.